welcome to episode 5 of our podcast. I'm excited about this one.
It's a good one. It's a good one. And it's something that's been spoken about in the news. So we are
Very
here.
recently as well.
Very recently. We are here to put your minds at ease.
I look like I do yoga all the time, don't I?
Not really. So, as some of you may have seen, there was news this week about how dangerous nail lamps are. Danger!
Dun, dun,
And the risk they cause for cancer. This was a study that was done by the University of California in San Diego.
Was.
And we would like to give our thoughts on their findings because,
Very interesting, isn't it?
yeah,
It's interesting how media have got hold of it as well, because my clients have been messaging me, and I get it. I get, the second you mention the big C word, it creates panic. And clients have been messaging me, and I have had now text messaging me with regard to the situation. So we're here to try and alleviate that, and also just put your minds at ease with regard to the situation, because this isn't the first time this has come up within the nail industry. I mean, it happened 2010, 11
2013, 2013 last time.
So, and it's classic media.
Yeah.
They shout out these big nail lamps cause cancer. Well, no, they don't.
No.
But they just want that headline, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've done a bit of digging, obviously, as you have. Being brand owners, we wanted to get to the bottom of the study and find out how they came to this very strange conclusion. Some people may even call it fake news, because essentially, and we'll go through it in more detail in just a moment, what has happened is they have taken something like curing a nail and turned it into, and taken it to the extremities. Yeah. Which, under conditions...
Extremities are your arms and legs, babe.
Are they?
Yeah.
No, when you take something to its extremity...
Extreme.
It's different.
We'll Google that in a minute.
Comment down below if I'm right or if Lauren's right. No. And they've taken it to the extreme, and they've come up with these results under conditions that a hand would never be under in a lamp. So let's dive into it in a bit more detail, shall we?
I'm in. Come on then.
First things first.
Hit me with it.
First things first, the type of lamp they used.
Yeah, the one lamp.
The one, they used one lamp.
Yeah.
And it was actually a non-salon standard lamp.
So it wasn't a professional lamp.
No, it was a lamp that...
They probably got it off Amazon, to be fair, for a tenner.
Yeah. So they didn't actually, in the study it actually states they did get it from a business who state that it is the fastest curing lamp in the market. Yeah. So that for me sounded alarm bells straight away. Yeah. Okay. One of the other things they did, which I thought was quite strange, they cured the nail for 20...
No. They exposed the cultivated... Let's use the correct terminology. They exposed cultivated skin cells. So basically, skin cells in a petri dish is what they did. Yeah. So there was no gel polish curing involved in this. They just put skin cells in a lamp. For how long, Stu?
20 minutes. Okay. Now, if you're curing your client's nails for 20 minutes...
There's something wrong.
Give us a shout, because we can help you save like 17 minutes off that time. So they cured this for 20 minutes. Now, they did do a graph of how it changed over time, which I will put up now. And now, if you're looking at this graph, because I'm going to leave it up for a little while, we need to be looking at this graph at around the 1 minute mark. Okay, so as you can see below, it says 0 to 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. Now we're looking at 1/5 of that first section as to the actual
reading that should
have been given out to the media and to the public.
Correct.
The other thing that's not taken into account on this is cells regenerate, okay, and repair themselves.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you get sunburned, you don't stay sunburned forever because your skin cells.
Can you imagine that?
That would be painful. Your skin cells repair themselves and regenerate.
Correct.
Now, I know they're talking about mutilations of cells, which is slightly different, but for the main part, people's mindset would be looking at the cancer side, the skin cancer, the melanoma side of things. Yeah. Okay. And to me, if you were going to give information out regarding a product, you would want to make sure that information you're giving out is as accurate as possible.
And clear and concise.
Yeah. It's almost like I sometimes think of scientists all sat there in a lab, a little bit bored, thinking, I don't know, let's see how many Skittles it takes to choke a eagle. And they're just there putting Skittles into an eagle until it chokes.
If you're out there doing that, that's no.
And then someone's gone, hang on a second, these nail lamps, it's been about 10 years since we've done it, let's do it again.
Let's have a little gander, shall we?
Yeah, and they've come up with this idea of leaving these skin cells in a petri dish under a lamp for 20 minutes to see the effect on it. Yes. Now, of course it's going to have an effect on it if you leave it under there for 20 minutes. If you're stood out in the sun, in beaming hot sun for 20 minutes, it's going to have an effect.
Absolutely.
But to take it to the extreme that they did, I think was an unfair reflection on how these lamps really work. Now, Dowdy and Sayer, who are the people that doctors, scientists, who actually invented the SPF rating system, also done studies on this, and they found that the lamps exceeded safety expectations.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just quote straight from their response?
Straight from their response. Yeah.
So they produced in the spring issue of the Photochemistry and Photobiology publication with regard to. So they were responding to the cancer-causing lamps. So they'd seen all of the headlines and they wanted to just investigate themselves because obviously this is their field of speciality. So they found, like you just said, that UV lamps exceeded safety expectations. These lamps were found to be significantly less hazardous than expected based on initial concerns raised by others, the media. The researchers found that the UV exposure is so low that a person could put her hands, gender specific, their hands, under a nail lamp for 25 minutes a day every day, without exceeding the internationally accepted safe limits for daily workplace UV exposure. Typical nail salons, i.e. less than 10 minutes per hand, performed on average only twice a month or less, are well within the limits of permissible daily UV exposure. So that paragraph in itself says it all for me, because, this study in California, in the University of California, was done for 20 minutes over 3 consecutive days on skin cells. Now, this isn't a normal salon environment. No. It should have been done using a plethora of nail lamps, LED and UV bulbs. There is no difference between the light emitted between the two, in fact. If you want to know more about that, it's in Nail and Knife, February issue. Shameless plug over on the website. And I do delve into that a little bit more. But there is also the other caveat to the fact that a nail lamp, a nail curing lamp, emits UVA rays. It does not emit UVB rays.
Or UVC rays.
because of the way the light spectrum is and the electromagnetic spectrum that we measure light on. So it's not a fair scientific research process that they've gone through. They haven't done it for the correct amount of time of exposure. So, in 2 weeks, they could do 2 weeks because gel fine polish is 2 weeks. So they could do it for 3 minutes, take it to the extreme of 5 minutes every 2 weeks, allowing those cells to regenerate and sort themselves out when they're not going to have been,
To do that, though, they'd have to use real people, not just cells in a petri dish.
I don't know how that works. But the thing is, they've also stated that, which is a very interesting, and again, I'm quoting because I don't want to get it wrong, UV nail polish dryers, similar to tanning beds, may increase the risk of early onset skin cancer. However, they then go on to say it does not provide direct evidence for an increased cancer risk in humans.
So which is it? It may, but
it might not.
It might not.
So that's like saying, if you go down the beach and you're sunbathing all day, it might increase your risk of getting cancer. We know that the sun's not safe, but it might not. So why is the headline skin cancer warning over nail bar UV dryer lamps?
Because the mainstream media like to keep the peoples under this blanket of fear. And that's what drives governments. I'm going to get all political here, so I do apologise.
Here we go.
That's what drives governments.
Evening Prime Minister.
Evening Rishi. They are there to keep people in line.
Yeah.
The easiest way to do that is through fear.
Yeah.
So they've taken what should be a 3-minute, 5-minute cure of a hand and put that into 20 minutes. That would be a bit like
over 3 consecutive
days. That would be a bit like saying, let's do a study on the effects of the sun on the human skin and going and sitting someone in the Sahara Desert for a year.
With no sunscreen.
With no sunscreen. Of course it's going to have an effect. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And, yes, they've released this paper. Yes, but I've also got into it on Twitter with a few people. And I have had other scientists and other doctors backing me with my comments on how this was an unfair and biased trial that has now been reported in the completely incorrect way because of the way it was given to the media.
Yes.
So in all honesty, I would take it all with a pinch of salt because you
the
cannot
thing is, so they state though, sorry to butt in, darling, they also state that in order to get a true reflection of the data that they've gathered, that this research needs to be done over a period of time. We've had nail lamps within the nail industry for 20 years. So you could have done 20 years worth of study by now, not 3 days worth.
And over those 20 years as well, don't forget, over those 20 years as well, the actual lamps themselves have got safer.
100%,
So
100%.
It seems weird now, of all times. It's been about 10 years since the last report came out saying exactly the same thing, which was debunked by Dowdy and Sayer, who invented the SPF racing system. They debunked that 10 years ago.
They'll probably come out and debunk it again.
And then in about 8 to 10 years' time, some scientists get bored, sat in their lab again, bored of feeding Skittles to kestrels and eagles and stuff, seeing if they can get them to choke.
Oh my God.
And then decide, I know, let's chuck some skin cells under a nail lamp for a year and see what happens. It's just nonsensical, and to be given to the mainstream media, and for the mainstream media to actually run with it and not ask the questions actually makes my mind boggle, and actually reinforces what I always think is that you never hear good news on the news, do you? It's a lot of the time fake news that's used by fear and coercion to control people.
Okay, so put that to bed.
Yes.
This doesn't take away from the fact that our clients may well have seen this headline, haven't looked into the research, haven't, got any knowledge whatsoever with what the process that's involved. So, firstly, it's down to us as Nowtex to be able to calm those fears. But I've also had Nowtex saying, so what do we do? What do I do? My answer to that was, firstly, understand the research that's been done. Again, I do go into it quite in depth in our Nailing Life Minimag,
which can be found on the website
www.getnailbylauralmcbride.com. But if they're really that worried about it, just put some sunscreen on.
Yeah.
Like,
get some SPF 50.
Get some SPF 50 on your desk in a pump. If they want to use it, use it. If you don't.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It is that simple. But the thing as well is key is educate. We spoke about this last week in the podcast. Education and educating your clients as well.
Yeah.
Because they can see that and they don't know about the 20 minutes. They don't know that they use the non-salon standard lamp. They don't know that, because it didn't say it actually in the article that I read on a certain news outlet, that the study does not provide direct evidence for increased cancer risk in humans. They didn't say that on there. No. But if you look at the paper, it's quite clearly written in there.
What other being has their nails done? Like, did they test it on rabbits?
Mice. They tested it on mice and on humans.
Yeah, but mice aren't going to have their nails done.
No, but they might want a tan. And don't forget as well, the lamps that are used and the bulbs that are used in sunbeds are different to the bulbs that are used.
And they're completely different.
In
because you want them to change the cells within your hand.
Yeah.
It's the change of that melanoma within the melanin within the cell that gives you a tan.
Yeah.
So of course the sunbed's going to change your cells. That's the point.
Different wavelengths, different things, different outcomes. So we wanted to come on today and just drop our thoughts on it. Like I said.
And your thoughts are also really important.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments on your thoughts with regard to the situation, because, you might still be scared. You might not really care. But it is something that is very prominent, because, this is like the last couple of days that this has all come out. So it's fallen in quite nicely to be able to release this podcast and let you know that it's okay. It's okay. Right? Okay. Just don't cure it out 20 minutes.
Yeah, just don't.
3 days.
Yeah. Or don't go and sit in the Sahara Desert for 5 years.
Or try and feed an eagle Skittles.
Yeah. I have no idea what that is.
So there you have it. That is our thoughts on there. If you agree with us, let us know. If you disagree with us, let us know. We love to have a little chat about things and throw ideas and opinions backwards and forwards, because that's what makes the world go round.
And it's healthy.
It's very healthy. Yeah.
I love talking to people who don't have the same opinion on me as me on the subject. Yeah. I don't want to know what people's opinion on me is, but I love speaking to people who have a difference of opinion to mine, because you get to have that conversation back and forward, and you get to see it from other people's points of view. And I think that's healthy for any society. So let us know in the comments your thoughts. If you agree with us, if you don't agree with us, let us know, because we would love to hear and just chat about it. Also as well, if you could give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, because we're on our way to 3,000 subscribers, and the closer we get to it, the quicker we get to it, the more of this stuff and tutorials and everything else that we've got lined up we can get done. So drop us a like and a subscribe, And
hit the notification bell.
Oh,
'cause then you'll-
every time.
you always forget.
I always forget the notification.
Do the notification bell because then you'll get a notification every time you post.
Yes, you will. Right, on that note, this has been fun.
I'm going to go and sit in the Sahara Desert.
I'm going to go and check a kestrel.
As long as it's not chicken.
Yeah. Right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You
We'll see
beautiful
you
people.
soon.